I know you guys are tired of the news, okay? It's so much news. I know it gives you a headache. We have Shams coming out talking about our San Antonio Spurs once again. And, you know, some people have ran with it and said, oh, so it is going to happen. Some people have ran with it and said, oh, well, it doesn't mean anything. I'll give you my take on it. So let's listen to what Shams has to say. Here, actually, I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. Maybe we can avoid some copyright. Because is this on ES? I guess it's on ESPN. Let's try to avoid some copyright here. Let's see. Oh, desktop audio's off. There we go.
He's been doing some on-court stuff. We've been seeing it on social media, so that should be a positive sign.
By the way, he's talking about Wemby. He's talking about Wemby.
And the Spurs, everything I hear, they fully expect him to be ready to go for the start of next season, for the start of training camp. That is amazing news for the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah,
and the NBA.
Yeah, we talked about that.
For Wemby to be ready.
Yeah, Wemby doesn't want anything to do with the Pacers, but
And you guys know we've been keeping up with Wemby off court as well. Like, we got that footage of him playing soccer and being very active, and obviously the pictures. It was no footage, I don't think, but in those pictures with him and Reno, he looks healthy. He looks good. I don't remember if they. Oh yeah, we had an end of the season press conference with Wemby as well, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm feeling good, or I'm feeling, fine. I'm doing well." So yeah, and I think Fox. We had an interview with Fox as well. I mean, I didn't, but we saw an interview with Fox, and he was like, "Yeah, me and Wemby should be good around the same time to start working out together and stuff like that." So things are looking good. It's on the up and up. Nothing to really worry about there, but yeah.
But I understand what you're talking about. It's good for the NBA.
They also have a ton of assets. They have tradable contracts. They have the number 2 pick. They have the number 14 pick in this year's draft. They have a bunch of tradable picks as well moving forward.
We have 4 second-round picks next year.
They have all their picks. So
El Jefe.
Whether there's a player like a Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think Kevin Durant's another guy that the Spurs, there was mutual interest in at the deadline. I think they're going to be looking very actively to see, is there a wing player we can bring in that could take us over the top?
All right. So, yeah. So, obviously, like I said before, the Spurs line is going to be open, right? They're not going to I mean, any competent franchise is going to keep their line open and hear what is it that you're willing to offer us, okay? So how do I feel about this? Because as you guys know, I've said on multitude of occasions at this point that I'm not bought into getting Giannis, because I just think now we have some great GM. We have a great GM. We have a great front office, but I'm just assuming it's going to be pretty difficult and you're going to have to give up quite a bit of your future, right? So that's something that kind of worries me, right? Another thing that worries me with Giannis in particular is the window of opportunity here. So not only will you have to give up so much, because he's worth it, by the way. He would be worth it. You have to give up so many picks. The window of opportunity to actually win is, I don't want to say is short, but it would be much better. Our window of opportunity is much better without making that happen. Another thing I didn't like is Giannis has not said anything as far as coming to San Antonio. I saw one report. I didn't look into it or anything. I don't know anything about, Bucks reports or anything, but I saw a report saying that they're going to try to keep Giannis by saying that they have Doc Rivers. I don't know if that was a Centel tweet or what, but I was like, okay, that's hilarious. But they're going to go out of their way to try to keep him there. And seeing how Giannis is, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually did stay. But at the end of the day, he hasn't said he wanted to go anywhere. He hasn't made it abundantly clear who it would be. And that's a deal breaker, right? Like, if he says, hey, I want to be traded, and he names off like 50 teams, where's our leverage, right? Like, what's the point? So that's one where I just wouldn't worry about it too much. And then when it comes to KD, all that Sham said here was that there was mutual interest, which we knew that. Like, we did already know that. We knew that the Spurs and Kevin Durant had mutual interest near the trade deadline. I think we even went over it at one point. And I'm not fully against it. It's just, once again, what are you going to have to give up, okay? I don't know if the chat remembers the other teams that Kevin Durant was interested in. Let me see. I think it was only like 3 of us, though. weird way of typing all that. It was, here we go. San Antonio Spurs, but also reportedly considered other teams in addition to the Spurs, Timberwolves, Rockets, Heat, and Knicks. But his primary was the San Antonio Spurs. And what's cool about this is, a lot of times when they name off other teams, they just kind of have to. Like, their franchises want to know, okay, what are the other teams that you're interested in? But his main was the San Antonio Spurs. So I do recall that. So if the Spurs want to go after Kevin, I'm for it if you don't have to give up that much. But just because you have mutual interests, just because the San Antonio Spurs franchise and KD wants to come, that doesn't mean that the Suns front office isn't going to put something insane in front of us and say, okay, let's make this happen. You know what I mean? So, and I guess, even more so than the Giannis situation, your window of opportunity is very short with Durant. But if you don't have to give up, there's no way you don't have to give up a lot. But if you can manage to get him and Fleece, get another team involved in somehow, some capacity, and you're just a better team, but it doesn't actually damage our dynasty or damage our growth for the future or anything, sure. Why not, right? But I just don't know what it would take at this point. You know what I mean? And like I said before, the Spurs are in a great position because we're kind of in a position, and Brian Wright put us in this position. This is in luck, right, with this in particular. But I guess with the lotteries it's been luck. But he put us in a position where a lot of times the Spurs can kind of sit back and say, hey, you need us more than we need you, right? We're kind of in a really advantageous position as a franchise where we're not desperate to go after a Durant because we have to win now, right? Like we're not in that situation. You can see the growth little by little each season. And it's only been a few seasons of this rebuild, season by season. And in my opinion, I don't think we have to do any of this. It would have to be a deal tailored for us for this to actually be something. Because I don't think the Spurs are going to go out of their way to make this happen. You know what I mean? You gotta be careful with stuff like this too. You don't want to give up your future for this. You said the cap is 3 years. Yeah, that's what makes it dangerous. And some people push back on me on this one too. Maybe I have to think about it a little bit longer. But I've said before that I'm not quite sure if like Vic is ready. Like you have those 3 years, right? And you could probably, I think the Spurs get a championship in the next 3 years. Maybe that's crazy for me to say. I think it happens, right? I think it genuinely does happen. But I think that Wemby's going to have to be ready. And I don't know if you get it in the first year or two with or without Kevin Durant. Keldon for KD, take it or leave it. Now that would be insane. If the Spurs can trade away Keldon and get KD and like 3 second-round picks, that would be insane. That's not going to happen. I have no idea. Let's see what some. I don't know what Kevin Durant's market is right now. See if we can find something. All right. So here's an article from just a few days ago. Suns connect Celtics star and Kevin Durant trade. Let's see what this trade proposal is. Oh, okay. I thought they were going to break it down. Let's see. All right. So Brett Siegel poses an interesting hypothetical of the Boston Celtics targeting Durant using Porzingis to build a trade package. So the Suns situation is much more complicated since they are a second apron team with Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal. Is there a potential path for them to create create a package that involves Porzingis to make a run at Durant this summer? That's all he had to say? Well, that's a vet for vet, right? That's a band for band. Spurs don't have a vet for a vet, if that would be the case. With this trade, the Suns wouldn't be entering rebuild mode. A retool that pairs Porzingis and Devin Booker will pose for an interesting season next year, though plenty. That's a terrible trade. Yeah, that's a terrible trade. I don't know, guys. Guess we would just need to know what it looks like before I can just fully say no. But we don't have to do anything. And I'm actually comfortable with us not doing anything. It would have to be something that just lays in our lap. That's insane. But anyways, shout out to Shams for telling us a little some. Wait, what? Wait. Clan check Sports Illustrated article on KD a few hours ago. All right. Kevin Durant indirectly addressed Shams' Spurs trade report. Durant faced an uncertain future in the weeks leading up to the February trade deadline earlier this year, and he faced an equally uncertain one now after being rumored to join the Houston Rockets and Minnesota Timberwolves, among other teams reportedly sniffing around for a big team. Shams threw another suitor into the mix on Tuesday. This isn't new. I think Kevin Durant is another guy that the Spurs, there was mutual interest in the deadline. And he responded to it. To be exact, an NBA fan reposted a tweet on X, Twitter, about the Spurs Durant trade buzz, and then gave him a take on his idea of Durant changing his allegiances once again to possibly team up with Victor Wembanyama. Would be the fifth franchise. Oh, okay. Would be the fifth franchise KD joins. Can't be a top 15. Oh, goodness. Can't be a top 15 player of all time if you played for 5 franchises. Why can't you? Winners build dynasties. They don't jump ship every time there's a struggle. Yikes. Durant replied. Here how he replied. Like I always say, make your own rules up. Curate this NBA fantasy world the way you want. Enjoy that top 15 list. That's a really good and mature response to that. I thought it was going to be way worse. So yeah. So I guess you can take this reply and you can run with it in 2 different ways. You can run with it as him saying, well, I'm going to make up my own rules and I'll go to San Antonio if I want to. And I don't take it that way. Or you can take it as him responding to someone saying you're not a top 15 player and you're trash and you're jumping from team to team, and he's just basically justifying the things that he's done previously in his career. Now, I will admit, him going to the Warriors was ridiculous. That was really ridiculous, to the point where you're just kind of sitting back like, oh my gosh, like you were up 3-1 on this team and then you just joined them. Like, that was crazy. I'm not going to take that away from this person's post. But just to say like, oh, you play with different franchises, therefore you can't be a top 15 player, is very disrespectful to what KD has done or been able to do. But yeah, I don't think that this is him responding saying he wants to come to San Antonio, but it's a response nonetheless. Anyways, good stuff.